Welcome to Lesson 11.3, Adding Integers. Today we're going to talk about how to add integers, but we're just going to talk about what it means when we add integers and how the symbols can help us. So I'm going to give you two methods that you can use, and then tomorrow we'll talk about the different ways of adding integers without using the manipulatives. Alright, so first we need to talk about the rules of adding integers. Anytime you add a positive plus a positive, you're going to get a positive. Anytime you add a negative plus a negative, you're going to get a negative. Anytime you add a positive plus a negative, your answer is going to take the sign of the bigger number. Now what that means is the number that's further away from 0, whatever sign that number has is going to be the sign in your answer. So in this case, if I have negative 12 plus 6, even though I know technically negative 12 is less than 6, if I take the sign out of it, 12 is bigger than 6, which means it's further away from 0. And because 12 has the negative sign, I know that my answer has to have a negative in it. Right, so we can use number chips to help us represent the problem. But what we have to understand first is that each chip represents one number. So the red chips are negative, the yellow are positive. It might be a good idea for you to grab yellow and red colored pencils or crayons to help you in your notes to use this method. If I want to represent negative 3, I would need 3 red chips. If I want to represent a positive 2, I would need 2 yellow chips. To represent 0, I would use neither positive nor negative because 0 is not either of those. Another thing that you have to understand is for every yellow chip that you have, it cancels out one red chip. So we'll start off with an easy one. If I have negative 3 plus negative 2, I first represent that with my chips. So I take 3 red chips, and I know I have to add 2 red chips to that. So a negative 3 plus a negative 2. Because they're all the same color, I just count up how many chips do I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I know that my answer is negative 5 because a negative and a negative gives me a negative. To take that one step further, if I look at negative 5 plus 3, I again represent the negative 5 with 5 red chips. But now the positive 3 tells me I have to represent it with 3 yellow chips. Now this is where things change a little bit. Because I have two different colors here, I have to look at how many cancellations I have and then what I have left. What I mean by that is each of these yellows cancels out a red. So I have 3 cancelations here. Because I have those 3, then I only have 2 red chips left, which means I have a negative 2 left. This makes sense with our rules because a negative 5 is further away from 0 than a positive 3. So my answer would have to have a negative sign in it. Negative 4 plus 3. I want you to represent this in your notes and then come back and we'll go over the answer. Negative 4 plus 3 tells me that I would have 4 red chips and 3 yellow chips. And then again, we talk about the cancellations. We take a yellow and a red, a yellow and a red, a yellow and a red. Because I only have 1 red left, I know that my answer has to be a negative 1. Right, you can go ahead and try negative 2 plus negative 1 on your own. When you come back, we'll go over your answer. So negative 2 plus negative 1, I have 2 red chips plus 1 red chip. Since they're all the same color, there's no cancellations. So I know that my answer has to be a negative 3. The other way to look at this is to look at what our addition symbol and our subtraction symbol actually mean. The addition symbol always tells me that I need to move right on my number line. The subtraction or the negative symbol tells me I have to move left. So anytime I'm reading an addition problem, I have to look at the addition problem and it tells me which way I need to move, and then if there's any negatives, which way I have to move. For example, I start at a positive 4. Because our problem is 4 plus 3, the first symbol tells me that I need to move right. But as I read on, the second symbol tells me I need to move left. So I pay attention to that second symbol and know that I need to move left 1, 2, 3 spaces. So my answer here is a negative 1. I'm sorry, a positive 1. That fits with our rules because 4 is further away from 0 than negative 3, so our answer has to be positive. Here I have a negative plus a negative, so I know that my answer has to be negative. I start at negative 6. The plus sign tells me that I need to move right, but then the negative sign tells me I actually have to move left, and I have to move left 4 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4. So a negative plus a negative gives me a negative. Negative 6 plus negative 4 gave me negative 10. That's where I ended. Go ahead and try negative 7 plus 8 on your own, and when you come back, we'll go over your answer. So I start at negative 7. The plus sign tells me that I need to move right. There's no negative sign to change that, so I move right 8 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So my answer to this question would be a positive 1. Again, we can check to make sure that makes sense because our rule tells us that 8 is further away from 0 than negative 7, so our answer should take a positive sign. Right, for your post-it on Edmodo, you have 6 problems that you need to do. You can use either the counting chip method or you can use the number line method. I don't care which one, but I want you to make sure that you're using them to help you practicing with adding integers. I also want you trying to decide first whether your answer should be negative or positive. That's the main focus here. So if I look at negative 2 plus 7, before I do anything, I would look and say, okay, my answer is going to be negative, positive, because 7 is further away from 0 than negative 2. Again, if you have any questions, please post them to Edmodo or write them down so we can go over them in class tomorrow.